My origins is DR Congo, Democratic Republic of Congo, but I was born in London, raised in South London, went to school in London till I came to university in Teesside. That's the first time I came to Borough, and yeah, from then kind of been like back and forth here in London, but recently spent a lot of time in Middlesbrough sides.
What have you studied at Teesside then?
I was doing music technology.
Oh, right.
Yeah, into music. From young, I've been into music. I've always been into music. So, but music technology was kind of the side of music that I wasn't comfortable with. So I thought if I go to university, I could do something that will help with what I'm doing. So now that I've done music technology, I feel like, yeah, I'm comfortable with doing anything across the board with music now, since I've kind of tackled the stuff that I wasn't really comfortable with before.
Brilliant, brilliant, excellent. Yeah, makes sense. And are you somebody that's been, we're doing this for Local History Month, are you somebody that's been interested in history yourself?
History in terms of in general, or to do,
yeah,
like, it depends on the matter. Like,
yeah,
I've always been big on like understanding what came before type of thing. So whether that's with music, that's just Black history, whether that's anything really, football, I've always been interested in what got us here type of thing. Why are we here? What was there before? What changed? When did it change? Why did it change? I've always been interested in things like that. Right.
And do you bring that, have you brought that into your studying in technology, the music technology at all? Have you been able to bring that 100%. Into that?
Because just during the courses, a lot of the stuff is to do with us kind of going to get our own music that we want to analyze type of thing. And normally, if, say, for example, I was in the rap category, for example, like rap's my favorite genre, but I like old school rap. I like rap from back in the days. So it's taken a lot of what happened before. And in the old school days, it's to do with a lot of sampling. So it's taking samples from the 70s, the 80s, and making it modern. For example, like P. Diddy with More Money, More Problems, which is the biggest song, which samples Diana Ross, I'm Coming Out from the olden days. So it's taking a lot of older stuff and bringing it to the modern days, which kind of shows that, because nowadays with technology, all the music is kind of machine-based. Everything can kind of be done on the computer, whereas before it was a lot of bringing the instrument to the studio, a lot of analog plugins, whereas everything now is digital. So I've always been interested in kind of the analog setup where everything's kind of based off the human and not the machine.
Do you think that at times people will listen to the music now and not think about where the origins are for as you say, this where the samples come from?
Yeah, but most people, I'll probably say 80% of people now probably wouldn't care about any of that. Most people wouldn't even know that it's taken from an old school sample. Like, a lot of people, I say to them, like, I catch people out, I say to them, oh, you know that tune? Like, yeah, do you listen to old school stuff? Like, nah, I don't really mess with that. But they don't even realize that the tune they really like is based off an old song. And then when you hear the old song, like, oh, it's like you kind of catch them out. It's like, okay, they don't even realize that a lot of the new stuff is just taking old stuff now and putting a little flip and a little twist to it.
So it's really, kind of, yeah, and it's a really good direct link, isn't it, to the past in the way that you're looking at it. That you could get in, that you could, you mentioned Diana Ross, something like that. That you could go sort of dig down through some music now and get into something, the source of it, can't you?
100%, 100%.
Yeah, and if we look at what's been happening in the last year or so with Black history and Black Lives Matter and everything. Again, it's digging down into the sources of things, isn't it? And things that have happened. It shows that what's happened in history is very relevant now.
100%, 100%. It is the sad thing really is there's a lot of I see a lot of history repeating itself moments where it feels like we're going in circles, not really kind of coming up with new ways to tackle things, but it's like we're going through the same stuff and dealing with it in the same ways and the same methods, which kind of is kind of proven not to work, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But we find ourselves in the same cycle, hoping that maybe this time there will be a bit of a difference. But it just goes to show that it's kind of, we use the same methods. We don't think outside the box. We don't think to try something new. We're just trapped in the same methods. And hopefully, I feel like right now it's kind of a weird time, because I feel like right now there's a lot of attention, more attention than normally before, which I feel like maybe is to play a part with how easy technology is accessible to us. We can find out what's going on in Miami like in 2 minutes, and we're right there as well. So I feel like that plays a big part in highlighting everything, whereas before things kind of can get swept under the rug, whereas now I don't feel like that's really happening. You've got a lot of people promoting Black Lives Matter, a lot of people's putting it on their Instagram bios and their Facebook pages, and it feels like everything football, they're taking a kneel before the match. Even I feel that's maybe a bit played out now. I feel like it's not really doing anything anymore, but even then it still shows that everyone's kind of talking about it right now. So it can be good. It can be good.
Yeah, yeah. And you said that you've sort of you've taken a role as an activist, and I'm just quoting you, and you'd really like to do your part in ensuring Black history is told properly. So how should it be told properly, do you feel, and well, represented properly?
Whether that's in schools or it could be little things, you know, like when you go to a shop, for example, and you see posters, and normally what happens is, let's say we go to Black History Month, that's the only time you really start to see all the posters going up. You start to see all these Malcolm X, Martin Luther King posters popping up out of nowhere. But when November hits, it kind of goes back to what it was before, and it stays that way for 11 months, and then we get our 1 month. Whereas I feel like it's not that time normal. It's not about Black History Month. It's Black history throughout, and kind of represent and show that we have something to say. And it's not just in October when we've got something to say throughout the year.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. It's actually something that we've got like a month, Local History Month in May, and the whole message of that is that it's local history, or history goes on throughout the year, and this is like a focus, and continue this on. And I'm really pleased that we've been able to bring you into this situation. Have you been active in October in Black History Month yourself then?
In the past, whenever, especially during school, whenever Black History Month kind of happens, it's kind of hard to avoid it. It seems like anyone that's kind of related to the matter has to be involved in some way, or it feels like, what was your point of being there type of thing. So whenever October comes, it's like we all step up. It's like, yeah, here we go. Whatever we're doing, we replaying. I remember when I was younger, I was doing like I Have a Dream speech. I remember replaying that and like actually playing Martin Luther King in the play. There's a lot of things we can do. Charities, for example, become big. We kind of highlight countries in Africa that's kind of big in October times, but I feel like there's way more. There's way more we could be doing.
Yeah, and then as you say, you could do way more if it was 12 months, not a month.
100%.
Yeah. So, which is always difficult, isn't it? Keeping that focus through 12 months. But I suppose, do you think in some ways the pandemic has given us an opportunity, because we're actually we've been stuck in our houses a lot, but in front of our like social media and everything, it gives us a chance to have a look and research things and think about things and connect with people.
Yeah, I feel like that's kind of been the big boost, that we had our lockdown, we've been going through the pandemic, because normally during the normal time, maybe people are too busy working, doing whatever to kind of pay attention to what's going on. They're kind of stuck in their own box and what's going on in their daily lives. Whereas during the lockdown, you've been kind of forced to almost just look at what's on your phone, look at what's going on. So whenever something's kind of trending, we all know about it together. Whereas before, is whoever's just kind of looking at their phone, which is now the perfect time, whilst we've got everyone's attention to, let's talk about it, let's make something big of it. And so that we know that when everyone goes back to the normal stuff, they're still kind of thinking about it. And it's not, okay, let's forget about that, let's get back to what we was doing before. Is, okay, we need to make some changes. We need to make some changes.
Absolutely. And you said about regretting the fact that sometimes history repeats and we make the same mistakes, and it is one of the first sort of essential steps that people do know their history and do. If you don't know your history, you don't realize that you're making the same mistakes.
Yeah, that's why it's important that we highlight kind of what came before. Because I feel like, say for example, something happens today, the first initial reaction is, oh my days, we're angry, but we don't realize that it's not the first time we've been here. So what we should really be doing is understanding why during all these years up until now, we're still kind of facing the same problem. And what is them key things that's making us face them same problems, whether that is racism, whether that is oppression, whether that is whatever it is. And we just know that these are the reasons. And do these methods work? Have we tried these methods before? Did it go anywhere? If it didn't go anywhere, forget that and let's try something else. Let's just go completely somewhere else with it and not try to do the same old stuff.
Do you think people can be dismissive in saying that, oh, racism has been here for centuries, it's always going to be here for centuries? For me, when I hear that, I just feel like it's just unacceptable. You're sort of saying it's always going to be here. It's, for me, it's something we've got a duty to do something about, haven't we?
Yeah, it's a lack of a conscious thought, because, say for example, even if it was just one person in their neighborhood or in their area that felt that they dealt with racism, if one person can kind of change the pattern of racism, and not, even if it's someone coming speaking to someone that's racist and making them understand why certain things they're saying is not cool and not to move a certain way, maybe that one person changing someone's mind can actually make a ripple effect and get a whole area, and through that change another area. Whereas it's the same thing, I compare it to like, you know, when voting is around and people say, oh, my vote don't count, so there's no point. When you don't realize if everyone is saying the same thing, eventually that kind of builds up. Whereas if everyone kind of takes the initiative to say, you know what, I'll do something, maybe the next person will see that thing, I should do something too, and that starts a ripple effect. So I feel like it's on each of us as individuals, is just check your conscience. Like, do you feel like you're doing enough? Do you feel like you say the right things? Do you feel like you move a certain way? Do you treat people like you want to be treated? And if not, then let's change the pattern. It's not too late to change the pattern.
Do you think it's been a positive thing that that Black Lives Matter has made us think about colonialism and empire and the full implications that each side of the story?
100%, because I feel like since the Black Lives Matter, it seems like information has just been flooded everywhere, whether that's Twitter, Facebook, and it's not just, kind of for the first time, not just Black people posting about it. Because normally we see Black people saying something like, okay, yeah, we kind of know, but for the first time we're seeing white people get involved properly this time. We've seen Asians even get involved properly this time, where it feels like, okay, this is genuine and we can actually get behind this and we can collaborate, talk about certain things and help bring an issue to the table, which there's an issue that needs to be addressed. So I feel like we in the right climate to make these changes, right climate to make these conversations, and hopefully going forward we can do a lot more.
For some people, they saw a statue being toppled in Bristol, and they were suddenly confronted with the idea of like domino effect of statues being toppled everywhere. But it was, was it the underlying message really, rather than that was going on? Looking at that guy on that statue, where he'd made his money from, and yeah.
That's exactly like the James Cook situation, especially with the hospitals, where they're talking about maybe changing the names. For me, I kind of have like two hats about it. For me, I feel one is like a bit of a distraction, because that's, to me, not really the main issue, whereas like we're going back and changing statues and all of these type of things. I feel like in the large scale things, it doesn't really matter, because the normal day-to-day person doesn't really care about that. Like, oh, damn, there was a statue there and now it's not, and then it's back to what they were doing before. It's not like an hour later they're still thinking, yo, the statue is gone though. Like, that's crazy. No one really cares about that unless you're really directly involved with it. But at the same time, it kind of shows that we're not playing around no more type of thing. So it can kind of go both ways. Like, I just hope that it doesn't stop there, where if that's the full stop, that's not the move. But if that's kind of the start to kind of continue that same effect across the board, then I'm here for it.
So that could be a bit like footballers taking the knee in a way. It's got to be. It was. The whole point was to initiate something bigger, wasn't it? Big change, and that statue being toppled was to initiate thinking about things and thinking about the reasons for things. It wasn't just for the sake of it falling.
Even with the kneeling in football, I feel it's not as taken as serious as it should be. Because, for example, I've seen people kneel before a match, and then during the match, someone kind of deals with a racist scenario, and then it's not handled the way it's supposed to be, which kind of goes against that person may have kneeled at the beginning of the game. So if that person can kneel, then later on do something that kind of condones racism or say something that's racist, then what was the point of kneeling before? And how comes that person's team, if they were all kneeling before, hasn't reprimanded the person, even themselves give that person a suspension or something? It just feels like everyone's kind of taking the knee just to play safe, where some people are kind of, they don't believe in it, which is why I've seen players like Zaha say that I'm not taking the knee no more, which I understand, because it feels like people are just taking it because everyone's doing it.
And Britt Sambolonga, who was the captain of Middlesbrough, he made the same statement at the start of the season, saying that he didn't want to be here in years telling his grandchildren, explaining why he's still taking the knee, you know, and yeah.
Especially if nothing is happening. If it's the same old things happening, people dealing with racist abuse on the pitch, nothing's really being handled. You're seeing that same individual there in the next match. It's like, it's not, it wasn't really the point. It just looks good, but what's really happening?
For you yourself, you said you come from London, you come to this area, and you've said about your sort of roots, as you might put it. Do you think of yourself as having lots of different areas of culture and cultural history that you can explore for yourself?
Yeah, 100%. Because even if I just compare the London culture to the culture up here, whereas now I feel like, because of, once again, technology's kind of made us all included. Like, it feels like a small world now. Like, I can call someone in Italy and feel like I'm right there with them. Whereas I don't know, the London culture, to me, where I came from, there was a lot of black people in South London, for example, a lot. So we didn't really deal with straight up racism, more like, okay, they're over there, and we kind of get left alone. Because we're the majority in the area, we're kind of left alone. But when I came up here in 2016 for the first time, I was seeing that, oh, for the first time I'm in an area where I'm not in the majority, where I kind of stand out a bit. Whereas every time I'm walking past, someone's kind of double looking at me, looking at my hair, looking at my skin. I could tell, I could just feel the aura straight away. So I feel like, I don't know, I feel like nowadays, even if in the Middlesbrough area, if you go there today, you'll see a lot of diversity, like all over the place. And I don't know, I feel like right now, it's kind of hard. It would be hard to be a racist right now, because it's like everyone is everywhere. So you kind of have to find a whole secluded area, which kind of keeps you away from everyone. And at that point, you're kind of playing yourself. So it's like now you're kind of forced to deal with us if you're racist, if that makes sense. Like, you can't just avoid us no more. We're everywhere.
Yeah. And you of course share a nationality with well, not your nationality, but you know, to be with several of the players at Middlesbrough Football Club, don't you? That I think.
Yeah, but Lassie's from DR Congo as well.
Yeah, I think he's not alone. Sambalonga
yeah.
and a couple more as well. So
yeah, there's a couple. We represent him.
Yeah,
represent him.
Yeah, so it's quite interesting, isn't it? As you say, it shows that how small the world is, and
100%.
yeah,
100%.
Yeah, so as we move forward, we do like this History Month every year. How would you like us to shape it, to sort of broaden it out, to reach out to different groups, such as you're saying, you know, how do you think we should do it? How would you frame it?
I would make sure that
is it a first step by inviting you, because I just saw you on telly talking and just so I must get a hold of this guy.
Yeah, 100%. I feel like that's definitely a first step, and I feel like the next step is getting more people. Whether that's not just exactly like me, for example, a young black girl, an older black girl, an older black male, because me and the older black male, we might have a bit of differences, because when they were my age, they would have been dealing with certain things a bit differently than I have been, because maybe technology weren't as available as it was then, so therefore they kind of have to deal with things face to face. Whereas now, I feel like it's different, so it'll be interesting to kind of compare and hear the analysis from someone that's like me, that's kind of from my age group, to someone that's older, to even someone that's a bit younger, because even the youth coming up, they're going to be dealing with different, because they've been brought up to technology straight away, whereas me, I remember when technology wasn't as like sharp as it is now. So it'd be interesting to kind of hear thoughts from across the board, females, males, young, old, across the board.
So you're saying it's interesting the way you're saying about technology, in a way that maybe 10 years ago somebody would have said first generation, second generation, but technology's kind of changed all that in a way, as you're saying.
100%. Technology, in a way, is always been a gift and a curse, because I feel the technology at the same time has kind of made us easily complacent, and we normalize a lot of things that shouldn't be normalized. Well, because we see it all the time, it's just like, oh, again. Whereas before, we might hear something like, damn, that's a bit crazy. But now I can go to Twitter and see something completely crazy and feel like it's just another day. It's just another day on Twitter. So it's kind of dangerous at the same time, but it helps too, because there's so much information, so much. But Denzel said it best. He said, if you don't look at the stuff, you're uninformed. But if you do look at the stuff, you're misinformed, because a lot of the stuff you're seeing is lies. Someone's just got an agenda. So it's just, you have to be careful what you're looking at and what you're reading and things like that.
Yeah, we know well about. I'm trying to avoid saying the word the words fake news, but obviously,
it's hard to avoid.
It is indeed. But yeah, I really want to thank you for having this conversation.
No problem.
And let's make this the first of many conversations. Yeah,
first of,
and let's try and open this out, as you said, to different generations, and bring more of Black History Month into Local History Month, and into history as it happens in Teesside, because it's very important, isn't it? And it's that we all share these experiences and this knowledge.
100%.
Well, thanks very much for chatting.
No problem. No problem. First of many.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much.